On to round two, the tabloid headline round. Ian and Fern, here's your spinning headline. Big bluffer.
Well, it's probably the poor gentleman who went to the BBC ostensibly for a job interview, and somebody came in and went, "Oh, yes, come this way," and so he followed this person, found himself sitting in a news studio, being asked questions about iPod versus something or other. Apple. Oh, Paul McCartney. Anyway. And this poor man sat there and was suddenly clipped with a microphone and asked questions about, was he surprised about the outcome of the case?
What was he doing in BBC reception?
Well, it was thought he was a taxi driver waiting for someone, but I think he was there for a job interview.
He come for a job interview for Director General.
No, it was for the post of IT assistant, or as the BBC describe it, data support cleanser.
When the story first broke, they said he was a taxi driver, didn't he? But when you actually saw the interview, you thought, no, he can't be a taxi driver, because a taxi driver would talk more authoritatively about something he knew nothing about. So he'd have done it with his back to her as well, wouldn't he? So, don't talk to me about Apple.
And why didn't he say anything when he was taken off to the studio?
I think they said it's the interview, and he said, yeah, that's for me.
He didn't expect to be interviewed on air. I think that was that surprised him. But then the other guy, I'd love to have seen the other guy in reception who was sitting there waiting and then saw his name come up on the screen.
Should we have a look at it?
Yes, please.
Well, the judge in the case, as we've heard, has just ruled in favour of Apple Corps. That's the record label. So what does this all mean for the industry and the growth of music online? Well, Guy Cuny is the editor of the technology website News.
Good morning.
Were you surprised by this verdict today?
I'm very surprised to see this verdict to come on me, because I was not expecting that. But they told me something else, and I'm coming. You got an interview there, so it's a big surprise anyway.
Can we just see again the moment when he realises this is not a job interview?
I hope he gets the job, though.
I really hope so, yeah.
If he can cope with that, he can do IT.
Exactly.
Did anyone spot the other glaring error there? She said that it was a victory for Apple Corps when it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
It was actually a victory. She got the news wrong.
Corps?
She got the wrong person in, and she's just reported completely the wrong news.
Don't pick on her. Yes, that's typical, you know, female presenters. You pick on them because they get
wrong.
things a bit mixed
It's a news programme.
She might not have been feeling very
allowed
well.
to make mistakes. She's allowed to make mistakes. 30 years ago, her mother was carrying a bucket of water, so people like you could go to university.
Given how obvious it was that something was wrong, what did Miss Bowerman do?
She ignored it, didn't she?
Yeah, she asked him another question. Whether he thought more people would now download music online, to which he replied, I think it is much better for development and to inform people what they want and to get the easy way and so faster if they're looking.
To be fair, I did read he's only learnt English in the last 4 years.
He taught himself English.
Yes,
He also taught Prescott.
Mr. Cuny, of course, was the person who was meant to be being interviewed. And the producer had actually seen a picture of Guy Cuny. So here is Guy Gomer, and here is Guy Cuny. Who correctly pointed out after the mix-up, I'm fair-haired, blue-eyed, and with a sort of pale skin that makes my dermatologist wince. I'm not black. I'm not black on a startling scale.
I know for a fact that's not the first time the BBC had done that. But they usually hush it up. Hugh Edwards came to deliver pizza in 1987. Yeah. And they've kept him on as newsreader because they don't want to draw attention to the mistake.
Yeah, exactly. but if his phone rings halfway through, he's got to go on his moped.
This is the news that a man waiting for a job interview at the BBC's reception ended up broadcasting to News 24's worldwide audience of up to a dozen people. After the interview, there was more bad news for Mr. Gomer. They'd offered the IT job he'd come for to the IT expert he'd replaced. Surrounded by cameras and reporters, Mr. Gomer said, I feel like Prince Harry. At which point he was whisked back into the studios to be interviewed about his life at Sandringham.